I'll take off my blazer. I'll not get the warmth or heat. You all know, you all have been studying about heat since lower classes. You know that this is winter season and I'm wearing blazer because it is giving me the warmth. So today what we are going to do, we are going to discuss about heat energy in more details. Now heat gets transferred from one place to another by different processes. We will be discussing that heat transfer happens. But from where does heat go? It goes from a hot object to a cold object. Now what is cold, what is hot? Isn't it a relative term? Imagine you have two beakers and in one you have ice cold water and in one you have heated water. So what will happen? If you will place them together and you have put a conductor in between, the heat will flow from hot object to the cold object. So heat always gets transferred from a hot body to a cold body. Now we all have been discussing how do we measure heat. How do we know that today is hot, today is cold? You read in the newspapers that today's temperature is 15 degrees Celsius. And in summers you read, oh, this is too hot, the temperature is reaching 45, 50 degrees Celsius. So you actually discuss and determine the amount of heat energy by using a unit or using a parameter called temperature. So let us discuss about heat and temperature. Heat is the energy which gets transferred from a hotter substance to a colder substance. And it is the sum total of the energies of the particles in the substance. The whatever, you just need to understand that whatever is the energy of individual particles, which is the heat energy, thermal energy, we added, that is known as heat. And temperature is the determinant of this energy. So for measurement of temperature, how do we define temperature? Temperature is a measure of how hot or cold an object is compared to another object, and it indicates that how heat is flowing from an object which is at a higher temperature. Higher temperature means at more heat energy level to an object which is at a lower heat energy level or a lower temperature. And the instrument with which we measure this parameter, this quantity, is called a thermometer. So thermometer, let us discuss what is a thermometer then. So thermometers are used to measure temperature. A thermometer works because as substance become warm, there is a thermometric liquid inside, mercury, which expands, and the fluid in the thermometer will expand and rises up to the level. So if you have a mercury thermometer, you will put it in normal water. Say the mercury level is at 20 degrees Celsius. You will put it in hot water. The mercury level will expand and it will reach to the scale which is mentioned on the thermometers. You have already studied in lower classes and we all know that there are two kinds of thermometer. Mercury thermometers, mercury is used as a thermometric liquid, and we have clinical thermometer and laboratory thermometer. Clinical thermometer is used for measuring body temperature and lab thermometer is used to measure the temperature of liquids in labs. So body temperature thermometer will have a lower range according to your body's temperature variation, and a lab thermometer has a range from -10 degrees Celsius to 110 degrees Celsius. And in body thermometer, the temperature thermometer which we are using for measuring our own body temperature, clinical thermometer, we have a kink. Now what is a kink? A kink is a small obstruction which is provided in the capillary which is containing the mercury, so that the mercury level will not come down the moment you take out the thermometer from out of your mouth or the out of the body. So clinical thermometer has a kink and a lab thermometer does not have a kink. Now we have discussed that how heat is measured and with using which instrument it is measured. Now we have to discuss how heat gets transferred from one object to another. So we will be discussing three types of heat transfer. One is conduction. It is discussed conduction, convection and radiation. Say you have to take your notebook and you have to pass it on to your friend who is sitting on the third row, in the third row. There are three ways. One is you can give it to the next person will give it to the third person will, and you will pass on from one person to another and another to the next one. That is called conduction. Next is convection. In convection what happens? You will yourself carry the notebook and you will go to the third row. And third is you will throw it. So that is called radiation. Now let us discuss them in little details. Conduction. There is an example. You have a rod, a metallic rod. You have fixed up ice cream sticks using the clay on it, or you have used a material which wax on it. So when you will heat from one end, the wax will slowly melt. First ice cream stick will fall, then the heat will get transferred to the next one, then the third one, and so on and so forth, and the ice cream sticks will start falling. And this is convection because heat is passed from one particle to other. In convection, when you heat water in a kettle, the water which is at the lower level will get heated and it will move to the higher level. So that is convection. Radiation, when you are sitting in front of a heater or a convector and you are enjoying the heat given to you or the warmth given to you during the winter seasons, that is radiation. Radiation is how solar radiation reaches us. So conduction occurs when the particles in an object vibrate in place but collide with the neighboring particles, passing the kinetic heat energy to them. The particles do not leave their original position. Conduction occurs mostly in solids. It can only happen in the material where the particles are closely packed. So in a solid, what will happen? One molecule will pass to the next to the third to the fourth, and so on and so forth. Like when you cook anything in a vessel, then you put the vessel or the pan on the heat source. So when you put it on the heat source, the heat will be transferred to the pan. When you suffer from an injury, the doctor will say, okay, put an ice pack on it. So when you are putting an ice pack on it, you are actually absorbing the heat from the body which is being released due to the injury to the ice pack, and with that you are getting the heat transferred by conduction from body to the ice. Next is convection. It occurs when a warm fluid moves from one place to another. It can only happen in a substance which can flow. So where will it happen? Liquids and gases which can flow from one place to another. Example is when air becomes warm, the particles gain energy, they spread out, becomes less dense and rise. As it cools, the particles lose the energy, get closer together and becomes dense and sink. So when you are cooking in boiling water, then the hot water will move up, the cold water will go down. So this is because of convection. Next is radiation. Radiation occurs when electromagnetic waves carry energy from a source to another object, and the object absorbs the energy of the electromagnetic wave. Now occurs when there are no particles involved in it, and these waves can travel in vacuum. So the solar radiation, the heat radiation of the sun is reaching us because of this. So when you are sitting, if the dog is enjoying the warmth which is coming from the fireplace, and it is reaching to him by the radiation. Now radiant energy can be reflected by the object. Like in the case of shiny, smooth, light colored surfaces, the reflected energy will be reflected back. So if you have silver balls and you will have it and you will have the solar radiation falling on it, so they will be reflecting back. But if you have dull, rough, dark color substance, the object will absorb the radiant heat and it will become warm. So therefore, when you are actually wearing in winter, you prefer to wear dark color clothes because they will absorb heat. And in summers, you prefer to wear light color clothes because they will reflect heat. And heat gets transmitted from particle object to object. When you are sitting in front of a fireplace, the heat energy is reaching you. You will become warm and you will also start radiating heat energy. So we have different examples of it. In a microwave, there are all the three types of heat transfer happening: conduction, convection, radiation. In the fireplace also at times all the three are happening. When you are cooking in a vessel, radiation is also happening, the water is boiling, so convection is happening, the pan is becoming hot, so conduction is happening. In a wood stove are better effective radiators due to the black color. And when you use electric heaters, in them also you are using these modes of heat transfer. So various places in our lives we are using the modes of heat transfer. Oil furnaces, then in solar energy when it reaches us in our homes, that is all because of heat transfer. So let us quickly recap and close it before let us discuss conductors and insulators. Conductors are materials which allow heat to transfer like metals. Insulators which we will not allow heat to transfer, example wood and plastic. Conductors are used in cookware, car radiators. Insulators are used like animal fur and salt. Animal fur will trap the heat of your body inside. It will not let it go out. And in our life, we do observe sea breeze and land breeze. Sea breeze also happens because of the movement of hot air and cold air, and that is because of the convection. So because of the convection currents, we are able to observe sea breeze and land breeze in nature. So happy learning to all of you. Enjoy yourself.